On the last day of her life, Audrey Pott walked through a crucible of teenage torment. A curvaceous sophomore at Saratoga High School, dressed in the cool girl's uniform of a low-cut top and super short skirt, she looked the same way as always, but inside she was quivering with humiliation. In the weeks since school had started, girls had been giving her looks, and guys had congregated around phones, smirking. On Facebook, messages were pinging into her inbox, each one delivering another gut punch. Shit went down, aha, JK. I bet you already got enough people talking about it, so I'll keep it to myself, haha. Honestly, like, really, no joke, everyone knows. You were one horny mofo. When Sheila pulled up her car later that Monday afternoon, on September 10, 2012, Audrey jumped in but remained silent on the short drive home. Sheila was used to her 15-year-old daughter's moods and stopped pressing her. When they got to their ranch-style home, Audrey retreated to her bedroom, with its Audrey Hepburn poster and silk-upholstered window seat. Around 20 minutes passed before Sheila decided to check on her daughter. She walked across the kitchen and down the long carpeted hall to the bathroom door adjoining Audrey's room. The door was locked. Audrey didn't answer. Sheila knocked and knocked again. Something about the silence pushed a panic button inside her. She grabbed the first thing she could find to jimmy the lock and jammed it into the doorknob. Flinging the door open, she confronted the sight now permanently etched in her memory. In the pale peach bathroom, with its shell-shaped sink, gold fixtures, and narrow bathtub, her only child was dangling from a belt attached to the shower head, mascara streaking her face. This excerpt comes from a Rolling Stone article dated September 17, 2013, entitled Sexting, Shame, and Suicide, a shocking tale of sexual assault in the digital age. This piece chronicled an extreme case of cyberbullying, through which a nude photo of teenager Audrey Pott, taken at a party when she was unconscious, was circulated amongst her peers at school. With this extreme example, it begs the question, how much sway does social media have on today's youth?
Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Tumblr, Snapchat, YouTube. This small sample is just a taste of what social media has to offer. The upcoming generations of adolescents, preteens, and teenagers are being indoctrinated in the digital nuances of social media earlier and earlier in their lives. Toddlers mastering iPhones point straight to how early kids get started when dipping their toes in the digital ocean. The social media landscape has bred unfortunate and surprisingly positive consequences for teens that need to be addressed. The rise of narcissism, the viral popularity of sexting, the debilitating scourge of cyberbullying, and the overall effects on self-worth, self-esteem, and self-concept are all important topics to discuss openly in regards to where our teenage population is currently with social media and where they might be heading. This documentary aims to shed light on the current state of affairs with teens and their social media usage, and what parents and teachers alike can do with this knowledge to further educate and enlighten children about the benefits and the perils of using social media sites.
While activity on social media websites is at an all-time high, the attraction for teens can present particular challenges, says Associate Professor of Psychology Dr. Christopher Berry, especially when adolescents with an inflated self-view encounter criticism.
For those with more narcissistic tendencies, they don't deal with it in the most adaptive way. So that sort of gets our attention and sort of gets us to wonder what we can do to sort of channel their reactions to other people in more positive or at least more adaptive kinds of ways.
For years, Dr. Christopher Berry and a team of researchers have studied narcissism in teens. While more research needs to be done, observers are sure that for teens, social media is providing an explosive platform for fragile egos, in part because of the immediacy of these forums.
They're not stopping and necessarily using good judgment. Probably applies to adults too, but they're not stopping and using good judgment or sort of thinking about the broader ramifications of what they communicate or what they display, because it's so fast and so available and really can be done literally a touch of a button.
From the University of Southern Mississippi, I'm Layla Essery.
Some articles about this 100 Club, saying that girls who won't post any photos unless they get 100 likes on it. If they don't get 100 likes, they'll pull them down. And what are your views on that?
To me, that's stupid, because if you like the picture, post the picture and keep it up there. It's what you like, it's not what other people like. Social media is about sharing things about you, not looking for approval from other people. And it's sad that it's turned into that.
Well, I definitely think that it goes along with girls who feel like they're not in a relationship, where they can't get the best grade, or they don't have as many friends, so when they post these things and feel like they need to get 100 likes or they're not good enough, I definitely feel like it does have a big role, because even if you don't get 100 likes on something, it doesn't make you a bad person. It doesn't make you any less of, I don't know, a good media type of cliche that you put on.
I've read an article about this 100 Club. It's for girls. If they don't get 100 likes on their photos, or that they pull the photos off the internet. What are your views on that?
So like if they don't get 100, they have to take it off soon?
Yeah, it's like it's unacceptable for them to have the photo.
That's just
up.
ridiculous. That's ridiculous. My social media, I'm lucky to get 20. So I mean, 100 likes, there's no reason for it. It's just people thought they liked it, and if they didn't like it, oh well, I mean, why get rid of it because you didn't get 100 likes? I think that's just silly and true.
I usually get over like 120 likes per picture on my Instagram. I have over 1,700 followers. So Instagram is definitely one of my prized possessions, I guess you could say, just because they know how to use it. And so whenever a picture doesn't get like over 100, I'm like, I might just delete this. So I mean, there's sometimes where it's like, I don't know what I did to mess up, but I always like to just kind of blow my followers away. So I think just seeing that so many people are involved and like just think it's cool, and it's really cool because there's people from high school like telling me like, oh, what you do now is so cool. I'm like, oh, you didn't even talk to me in high school. Like, sorry, I'm not gonna talk to you now. But I mean, sometimes I do. I mean, if they're worthy. No, I'm just kidding.
Teenagers across the country are finding themselves in deep trouble. They're facing criminal charges when they're caught doing something called sexting. That's exchanging naked or semi-naked photos of themselves or others.
Sexting is all the rage, and which age group is doing it the most? Teenagers. Hey everyone, Lacey Green here for D News. I have a funny feeling that parents are slowly beginning to realize that sexting should be on the list of things that are discussed with their teenagers. Recently, the massive Snapchat hacking, which exposed personal data of most of its users, got a lot of people talking about sexting and privacy, and now the journal Pediatrics published a new study which found that 20% of 7th graders are sexting. Now, before your jaw drops too far, the study sample was 7th graders who were identified by their school counselor as already having some emotional or behavioral difficulties. And of those in the study group, those who were sexting were more likely to make out and have sex than those who didn't. Shocker, I know. Just so we're all on the same page, legally sexting refers to sexual photo, video, and text messages sent using a cell phone. The national campaign found that across the board, about 40% of teens have sent sexually suggestive messages. A quarter of high schoolers and a third of college students admit to having sent and received nude pictures.
A personal experience, and when I was in 7th grade, I told someone I was going swimming and they didn't believe me, and I was like, oh yeah, look, here's me in a bathing suit. And I came back to school the week after spring break, and I got called down to the principal's office on April Fool's Day. That's how I remember it. I was in 7th grade, and I thought it was a joke that I had to get called down to the principal's office, and then the teacher pulled me aside. He's like, it's not a joke, you need to go down there. And I was like freaking out. I had no clue. I didn't see myself in doing anything wrong, but the principal from this other school that I sent the picture to the kid to was actually at my middle school with the kid's phone. And I had to meet with both principals in the office, and they were like, is this picture you? And of course I lied. I lied. I was like, that's not me. It's my friend. We've been told that we look alike. But that definitely bit me in the butt.
At the concrete plant where she left to her death, friends of Rebecca Sedgwick created a makeshift memorial. These stuffed animals and balloons reflect just how young she was, 12 years old. Her mother, Tricia Norman, says her daughter's suicide came after months of bullying on social media and in person.
You haven't killed yourself yet? Would you please just die? They got what they wanted.
She says it continued even after she complained to school officials.
I told them, Becca's being threatened. These girls are saying that they're going to jump her, and we'll talk to them. And then, she would still get jumped.
Norman says the bullying began last December. She did everything she could think of, moved her daughter to another school, and even closed Rebecca's Facebook account. But Polk County Sheriff Grady Judd says the torment didn't stop.
And here's some of the quotes that we found. You should die. Why don't you go kill yourself?
Her mother was unaware Rebecca had recently started using new forms of social media, designed as easy ways for people to stay in touch.
The bullying continued by a group of female juveniles on different social media outlets such as Kik, Ask FM, Instagram, and Voxer.
Finally, it was too much. Rebecca texted a friend saying, "I'm dead. I'm jumping. I can't take it anymore." On Monday, she climbed a tower at a concrete factory and jumped off. Detectives later found even more ominous clues.
We also found on Rebecca's search engines or search questions, how many Advil do you need to take to die?
The sheriff's office is considering filing charges against the students who sent the hostile messages. Jeff.
Don Taylor, thank you very much.
Have you had an instance of one of your friends being bullied over the internet?
Not that I'm aware of. Luckily, most of my friends and me, we haven't had that experience yet. And I'm pretty grateful for that, because I don't know what I would do in that situation. There was one girl in my English class that was cyberbullied, and it was because she wasn't the in group. She wasn't the popular one. She was the one that sat quietly with a small group of friends, and I felt bad. I didn't know what to do because I didn't really know her, but we were friendly in English, and that was about the extent of our relationship. Was English class, we're friendly to one another when we have to work with one another, but basically just stay kind of in the assorted clique.
But have you witnessed any bullying due to social media?
Yes, I have witnessed many a Twitter fight, and generally I just sit back and watch these things go on, because usually when I say something, then it escalates the situation. So it's just better to stay out of it, because let people handle their own drama. And generally it starts because someone's posting about somebody else on the social media.
And have you ever seen any of those instances creep outside the internet and into their personal lives?
Oh yeah, I've seen many friendships ruined because of things posted on social media, and plenty of people are fighting and things like that.
Yeah. But have you witnessed any bullying on social media websites?
Most definitely. That's a big thing about social media too, and it's kind of messed up, is bullying is huge to it, because it's not face to face, so they think that they can get away with it when they shouldn't be able to get away with it, and it still mentally messes with people.
With Tumblr, you're allowed to anonymously send messages. And the day that I posted the picture of me not wearing makeup, someone actually decided it was right to go and message me, and they're like, when you posted that picture without makeup, it made me thankful that we have makeup. And just like that day, it gave me so much confidence. And I responded. I shouldn't have responded, but I didn't want to give them the satisfaction of me just reading it and thinking that it hurt me. But I was like, I went and I said the rude thing, and I was like, well, it makes me thankful that we have the anonymous button so you could hide behind your computer. Because I was like, I barely wear any makeup as it is. And so I honestly found it pathetic that someone came at me to do that. But I have a lot of people that do back me up. And recently I had someone tell me that I was too into myself and I shouldn't be, or I didn't have a reason to be. And then someone wrote back to me anonymously, and they're like, you know, you do self-portraits as a way of venting, and you know, that's different, that's cool. And they're like, you do you. And I was like, you know, like it's nice to get the backup, but at the same time I turned off that feature because if you're opening yourself up to bullying, that's not really saying that you're against it. So I turned it off. My family's been on my back, but I don't, if people do it, it's just a way. I mean, I don't like that there's an anonymous feature because it shows that there's people you don't want to be friends with that are like that can still do it. And so I've turned that off, and I don't know, my life has just been better since. Like, I mean, it's weird to say that comes into play, but like with knowing that someone can think that about you and still say that to you and just hide it though, I like to be straight up honest. If someone told me that to my face, I'd be like, you know what, that's cool. You do you, I'll do me.
The teenage brain. A mystery that has confounded parents for generations. Everyone wants to know what exactly is going on in those heads. Neuroscientists in BC may have found answers in science.
When you're engaged with your phone or something external, these areas that are involved in daydreaming and thinking about your own thoughts and feelings shut off.
The answers may be in the brain. See that blue area of the brain? That's the area that learns empathy. What they found is that those areas that learn empathy are only active when you do nothing, when you daydream. And that's something today's teenagers don't do.
Kids are constantly engaged with their technology, their phones and the internet. They're not activating these brain areas that are important for self-reflection and reflecting on other people and allowing that empathy to emerge.
Do you guys daydream? Do you ever just kind of watch the clouds go by and not think about anything in particular? How much time do you think you spend doing that, daydreaming?
Like 30 seconds a day. Yeah, probably. I'm so busy most of the time with sports and organized activities that I'm always on the go. I don't have a lot of time.
And if no daydreaming means no empathy, we could be developing a generation that cares less about other people.
When you're online and bullying, you don't get these cues that tell you, I need to inhibit this behavior that's having such a negative impact on another person. And therefore it makes it very easy for bullying to continue.
But what worries parents and experts alike is how these fundamental changes to the way teenagers' brains are wired is going to change the way they live in their wired world. Pauline Dakin, CBC News, Los Angeles.
Yeah, sometimes it ranges from meeting friends to losing friends and even more devastating things after that, such as suicide cases and things like that, just because of cyberbullying and those different circumstances. As far as popularity goes, it seems that if you're connected well with social media, you're more popular, and people tend to look on different kinds of social media to see who is most connected, and it definitely depends on what kind of things you're posting, whether it's pictures on Facebook or tweets on Twitter, and so it kind of depicts different cliques as well as who you are on social media, and not necessarily who you are in person. I definitely think that it has to do a lot with self-esteem. And the more friends you have on Facebook or the more people that like your tweet, it typically makes you feel better or more liked, even if that may not even be close to what it is outside of social media. I feel like when you tweet something or when you post something on Facebook, you want it to be liked and you want people to, in a way, like it because it looks good on you and the people who follow you or are friends with you on Facebook or whatever other type of profile. So I definitely think it has an impact on how you see yourself, even though other people outside of social media might see you as a completely different person.
How much of your self-worth is connected to social media?
I don't really connect my self-worth to it. It's like if I get 40 likes on a picture, that's, ooh, cool, I look hot today. But that's not like I'm gonna look for other people's approval on the internet. It's just like, hey friends, I'm gonna share my life with you. But I know that a lot of other girls will try to get approval from other people and they base their self-worth on how many likes they have on a picture, how many followers they have.
Because the social media tend to have a big influence on teenagers, like how they go throughout their daily lives.
Yes, I definitely know that for personal experience, not having a smartphone for most of high school and then finally getting one my senior year, it definitely makes a big impact. You become more plugged in to different social medias and it becomes a bigger part of your life because from having a flip phone and not really caring and not because you don't have any connection, you definitely see people who are connected, and so it makes you want to have that connection. And so as soon as you do get a smartphone or some kind of device that you can become connected, it becomes a big part of your life, and you kind of start viewing yourself as a different person almost because of the things that you might post on Twitter apart from what you would say. It's kind of like the whole texting thing. You typically have more guts or hardiness when you text someone, but talking to them face to face or giving them a call seems a lot more personal, and you tend to not say some of the things that you would say over a text or over social media that you would face to face.
How much do you think social media has affected your self-esteem and just overall your self-worth?
Social media, I think, comes into play. A lot of my friends refer to me as a selfie queen because I can take self-portraits that no one else really can. My camera has Wi-Fi. So with that, I've just kind of I chopped off my hair, and so I lost a lot of self-confidence because I chopped off over 12 inches of it. And so then I just started taking selfies, and I mean, I shouldn't refer to them as self-portraits, but I started taking them, and then I just realized that people started really liking how unique I could be, and it just made me feel so much more comfortable.
I've definitely seen it change people. Friends of mine that had never had a Facebook before or had never had a Twitter, as soon as they got one, they kind of became the person that they tried to be on their social media platform. And then I've seen it reach certain levels where people can become so addicted to it that if they aren't seen the way that they want to be seen, they can try and change it to some levels that are so catastrophic that they're hurting themselves. So,
would you say that social media has more of a positive impact or a negative impact?
I think it really depends on what you put into it. I think peer pressure has a big play in that because the trends and things that go on now, I think that if you don't follow them, you can be seen as, a social media outcast, I guess, and that can play a negative role. It can also play a positive role, such as Facebook. If you haven't seen family in a while or you're trying to keep in touch, it can be positive in that way, but I also think that peer pressure and cyberbullying can make it, in some cases, more negative than positive.
Would you say your self-worth is connected to your social media accounts?
I definitely think that, personally, I know that it kind of makes you feel, sad, I guess, when you post something and you expect people to like it and then no one likes it or retweets it or favors it on Facebook or anything. And so I think that people will kind of hold themselves to a moral standard if lots of people like their tweets or lots of people like their new picture on Facebook. Because people can, for example, take a really nice picture of themselves and then post it on Facebook, and if no one likes it, then it's kind of a self-esteem issue. Well, maybe I'm not that pretty, or maybe I'm not that attractive, or maybe they don't like me, or things like that.